You want to hit me some more in the bedroom?
Hello and welcome to episode number 68. Is it of Unrelenting now? Man, these numbers, they keep going up. I don't know how, though. It is in May. Wow, we keep skipping time, too. May 12th, 2023. Yeah. Where has the time gone, Gene?
Well, I think you keep taking days off to fix yourself.
You fixed yourself the last week.
I was traveling.
That was fixing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't had any more issues, so I'm like knocking on wood and all of this because...
Well, it's better to knock on wood than heaven's door.
I know. I mean, that's it. I guess heaven's door is probably made out of a nice ornate wood. The one
really?
that I knew I was having issues with, sure enough, I went for my just normal dental cleaning and x-rays because I had never done a full set of x-rays with this dentist. And sure enough, the tooth that the other chick dentist did is once again getting infected, so I need a root canal redo on that tooth that just had the root
yank
canal.
It out, dude. It's not worth the money. Just yank it out.
Yank it out. Nice and easy.
Yeah.
We can go the Adam Curry route. Just get all new teeth.
Well, that's excessive, but it's really not a big deal to pull a tooth. You can do it yourself.
Sure. It is a molar, though. So, I mean, there's that.
Yeah, those are the easiest.
Just do it. Just get a...
Tom Hanks did it himself with an ice skate.
Well, Tom Hanks is at a whole different level than we are. This is just the Seinfeld of podcasting.
That's right.
Tom Hanks probably doesn't need dental insurance because he has $1 billion.
Well, that was in the movie that he did, but you know.
You believe what's in the movies. That's the scary part. This is where you watch too many movies and you're like, oh, this is reality. It's
not reality. It's just an alternative reality.
I was very surprised. We may have mentioned this because I started watching it a few weeks ago, but it's over now because television shows are only 10 episodes. The new Kiefer Sutherland, and I think this was on Paramount Plus, if I'm not wrong. Of course, I don't have Paramount Plus, so I'm not sure, but I watched the show because, the internet.
Uh-huh.
Kiefer Sutherland stars in a series called Rabbit Hole, which was actually really well written, was not woke at all. It was intriguing because it dealt with a lot of the, tech stuff, and it kind of gave me a few ideas of things that could be written as a story, kind of a sci-fi dystopian kind of world. Because he's kind of one of these, not totally in the out of it like the Beautiful Mind movie, but Kiefer definitely has a little bit of whether he's on the spectrum. And there are times when he's trying to process information, like as he's listening to a conversation, he ends up tapping his hand really fast on the desk, and his brain is going through all of the alternatives of what might be said next until it's said. And it was just done.
Well, everybody does that.
I know, but this was at a different level of that. And he gets so into the not knowing what is reality and what is, what is fiction and what is reality. Although this is, I think, the biggest thing that society is going to face as a whole now that we have all of this deep fake stuff, now that we have the AI ability for machines to somewhat sound like a human being. And I think that's just going to get better and better very quickly. There was just a story. I thought it was hilarious. I'm guessing OnlyFans type chick who decided that she was going to get together with a tech company and clone herself, create herself as a virtual girlfriend of sorts. And people are paying like $1 a minute to talk to this chatbot. And the whole thing is, it was just meant to be flirty and fun, but I guess the chatbot's going off on its own and getting very, very vivid and sexual, and they're trying to figure out how to stop that. And it's like, well, wait, this is the most bizarre thing, I believe.
Yeah, this has been coming up more and more. Basically, women have about 20 years left.
And so they're just totally replaced with technology.
Completely. They just are unnecessary.
All human beings, though, kind of are going to be in that same category, aren't they? Or do you just feel it's only women?
Women's historic roles are going to become completely unnecessary.
I thought
I'm not saying women who are programming these bots are not going to have anything to do. Of course, you're going to have something to do. It's just you don't need to do anything related to love.
It's going to take all of that work right off your shoulders.
Because sex can be replaced right now, but within 20 years, love will be replaced.
The synthesizing a relationship. I just thought the most interesting part was
you gotta make that slightly more accurate. Synthesizing a good relationship.
Okay, this could be true. Because we all want good relationships, and the easier that is, and this is, again, the human being is by default a very lazy creature. So I think you're right that this would be like, well, rather than go out and work at it and try to find a relationship with another meat bag, then I may as well just turn to a computer. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then once you don't like what's going on, just reprogram her. No big deal.
Is there a movie about this?
If there's not, there should be.
It had like Jared Leto, I think, in it.
I'm getting so many ideas that we should just be writing this kind of stuff rather than doing podcasts, because there's no money in podcasting and there's still some money in writing fiction.
Well, it's funny because I had another friend of mine say the exact same thing.
Really?
And I said, great, you write the first chapter. And I'm still waiting after 2 years.
Well, that's a long time. See, I could have you a chapter within a week.
Oh, I'm sure you could. Sure. Go ahead. Write the first chapter. I'll write the second one.
And that would be fine. And I was messing with yesterday. I just randomly found a YouTube video. See, I'm going down the gene rabbit hole now. The more time.
The YouTubes?
Yeah, the more time I spend on the recumbent bike, not the gay one that goes out onto the street.
Fuck you.
And we'll talk about that in a little while because, there's the booster.
Yes, a real bike that lets you move around is gay. The fake bike that's inside your basement, that's clearly not gay.
Hey, it's upstairs, which it should be in the basement in the summer because it does get hotter upstairs. But that's where the TV was. And, the basement was mainly for entertaining and for podcasting for a while, and the bar's down there. But I digress. The more I ride the bike and have the big screen in front of me, I'm like, I've watched everything on YouTube I've wanted to watch. From people that I was following. So I start going into their recommendations, which I almost never do. And there's a guy.
And the more you click on the recommendations, the more they figure out what you like.
I know. This is exactly how they figure out. This is how all this AI stuff's going to take over the world, man.
Oh, yeah.
And because I had watched a couple of videos about fiction, there's a guy called the Nerdy Novelist, which is funny to me. When there's these guys and he's like, I've written 20 something books and I work for whatever little publishing company. Like, well, nope. The amount of authors that have multiple books that nobody's ever heard of is also hilarious. But he had a bunch of things on the new AI writing tools. And I had looked at things like Pseudo-Write, and you had talked about some of these things that actually were able to be more for like business writing that could then insert your own video into it. Well, have you heard? And after doing a search, this is all over the tech news lately. It's a company called Anthropic, and their AI is called Claude.
Nope.
This is something that just playing with over the last 24 hours, I am quite impressed with. I guess the biggest thing that is making this different from ChatGPT is that this can now hold into memory like 75,000 words, or they're saying like 100,000. They call them tokens. But its memory is quite a bit larger, which is the problem anytime you go and talk to one of these ChatGPT things. I guess I tried to get a ChatGPT account, believe it or not.
Mhm.
And it's like, give us your phone number. So I gave the phone number for my wife's phone that we're no longer going to use, but it's a valid Xfinity thing. And they're like, no, fuck you. That's not a real phone number. I'm like, thank you. Thank you, ChatGPT. I'm glad I don't have to give you my money.
That's funny.
I know. But then I found this guy talking about this Claude, and he's like, as long as you've got a Slack account, which I didn't, but they're free. So I got a Slack account. Is you follow this bot, you connect this bot to your Slack account, and it works just like ChatGPT does.
Mm-hmm.
And the quality of the stuff it was spitting out, I'm like, well, here's an idea for a book. Give me the main synopsis, give me the plot points, and it would spit it out without any problem whatsoever. And then you can go in and go, well, change this to this, and it was able to do so. And it's like, I did not realize the main limitation of things like ChatGPT are you only have so much stuff in memory. So the more you use it, it forgets what it said. So writing a novel is not going to happen because it's going to be all over the place. The fact that they're up to at this point already with this Claude system, being able to have 75,000 words. Remember, they said they put The Great Gatsby into the memory. They changed one line and were like, well, find the difference. And within, I think it was 20 seconds or something, it found the line that was added.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very interesting concept. And it was, you could ask it some of the usual questions. I was like, oh, well, who's going to win the presidential election in 2024? And it gave me the usual, hey, we don't know, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And what might actually cause, changes in this. I asked, who is Gene Nevtuliev? And it said, believe it or not, it did not have enough information. Oh,
ooh, good. So it's working.
That's right. So all of your work to be off the internet as a whole, it's like, we do not know who this shadowy character is.
Mm-hmm.
But I asked it, what is the No Agenda podcast? And it actually gave me a good answer. And I was kind of surprised by that. It's No Agenda is a weekly podcast hosted by Adam Curry and John C. Dvorak. It bills itself as an uncensored and unbiased podcaster in a media deconstruction format. The show features discussions and analysis of recent news stories and current events with a cynical and contrarian perspective. The hosts are both former mainstream media personalities. Adam Curry was an MTV VJ and John C. Dvorak is a tech journalist. The show is fan-supported and commercial-free, and then it gives you like its main themes, and there's nothing that was wrong at the end. The show has been airing weekly since January 7th, 2005, which sounds about right. I didn't double-check that. It has a dedicated fan following, though it is also controversial and polarizing for some. That's the last little bit of it.
That's true.
Yes, it is. It's very true.
I mean, the thing is, that's all coming out of the wiki page.
Right. It's coming. It's got to grab it from somewhere.
Well, it's the wiki page, like literally all of it.
And it's just in a more...
It's the first place that all the AIs go to is Wikipedia.
Well, of course, because it's got to be trained somewhere.
Yeah, but the problem with that is you know that Wikipedia is 80% bullshit and only 20% actual data.
Right. So this is the question of the AIs. Can they use all of the information at their fingertips to come up with accurate information? If they're only going to rely on Wikipedia, then no, that's an obvious no.
Yeah.
But if they're able to go through other sources and understand that people lie, that Wikipedia is not always accurate, then that is where they would become, I think, a little bit more useful. But this right now is still free. I don't know how long this is going to be free. It's not free if you don't have a Slack account, but accessing this through Slack is currently free.
Mm-hmm.
And it was spitting out stuff. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about different ideas for a novel. And then I'm just write the first 1,000 words. And it spit out what I thought was 80% there for crappy fiction. It really wasn't. Oh, wait, all of a sudden we're bouncing back. What'd you do?
We're bouncing where?
My voice is bouncing back to me all of a sudden.
It is?
Yes, it just started. Literally just started.
Yeah, I pushed the button. Hold on.
Well, don't push that button.
Hold on.
This is supposed to be a
Okay,
highly...
now this should be better.
Yes, it is.
No, I just noticed, and I didn't realize, that I've got my headphones on, and you're not coming in through the headphones. You're coming in through the speaker.
Wait, so you're okay, are you high or are you just sleep deprived? You're like, I got my headphones on.
Yeah, I just pushed the flip to headphones button, and that fixed it.
That's hilarious. So you had headphones on. I'm coming out of your speakers, but you didn't realize for like 8 minutes, 10 minutes,
well,
15
I had
minutes.
the headphones on before you started talking, so I didn't hear any difference. And consequently, I thought that was coming through the headphones, but then I realized, why are you a little muffled?
Right. You're like, I'm not getting the full velvety voice.
Yeah, man, Darren fucked up his audio again.
I know. That's horrible. I do it all the time.
Well, it's interesting, on AI Talk, which is what the show is, we want to talk about all kinds of different AIs. And while you guys are playing with having AIs write books, I've got a much cooler one that I've been playing with. It's a micro expression analyzer.
Tell me more.
Well, you can feed it video, and in real time, it shows you what emotions are expressed by that face.
This is interesting to me.
And it's anything from, like, I can read the emotions here to you, like anger, anxiety, disgust, sadness, pain, fear, awe, adoration, amusement, joy, triumph, surprise, interest, relief, boredom, tiredness, calmness.
Well,
so you can see whether somebody is paying attention to you and is interested, or whether they're experiencing any other kind of stuff. So that's based on video analysis. It also has audio analysis, where it'll analyze the way that people speak for those same characteristics, and then combines those two, if you have video with audio, in showing you what emotions are the strongest at what point in time.
Well, this is very weird that you say this, because micro expressions just came up in the idea that I fed into this Claude yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, this would be funny. Let's see what an AI would be able to. I'm like, here's a book idea that a podcaster, a tech podcaster, realizes that some of the other top podcasters have been replaced by AI doppelgangers.
Yeah, because they're living in the simulation. Exactly.
Now, the thing that this Claude thing came up with was, noticing the micro expressions, how that a AI is unable to mimic those from a human being. And that's in the story that it was helping me plot out. That was how the machine was, this guy was figuring out that these weren't real people. They were an AI because the micro expressions weren't right, and other things, the little ticks that normal people do when speaking.
Right.
The machine, which it's been talked about a lot when it comes to AI doing photographic stuff, it can't get fingers right, which is just still weird. But this is the same kind of thing, which is like, well, it really sounds like Gene on the other end, but there's something a little bit off. And what is that?
Yeah.
Where is the humanity in the video and the audio? And can we have some way to detect so we know if it's an AI or reality? So it's just very weird that the plot line this AI came up with was discussing the micro expression, something that you're like, hey, I've been dealing with these.
Well,
which is hilarious.
What you're referring to is a glitch in the matrix.
Probably. But this would be great. So if you're like talking to your girlfriend on FaceTime or Zoom or Skype, it's like, no, she's lying. Or she's currently has a friend under the desk. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Well, you don't really need the AI to figure that out, but
that's the intriguing part about all of this stuff is separating reality from the fiction. And that's why I loved this OnlyFans creator that created a virtual version of herself. And all of a sudden the AI was going into places that they were trying to, brick wall it from going to. So it's like, can anybody really control this technology once it's out of the bag?
No.
That is an interesting aspect of it.
It is our future.
Yeah.
And there's also new projects underway. So colleges have started using AI detectors to detect writing.
Right,
that's
because
done
the
by
papers
AI.
that get spit out now, you
Yeah,
can't trust anything that's in text
So-
form.
Essays for college writing are now mostly being done by AI. And there are now AI projects out there whose sole goal is to fix the problems that make a document seem like it was written by an AI.
Yes. Oh, I saw somebody that did a test on this and
Mhm.
simply taking the text that they got spit out from the AI and
Mhm.
taking it to one of these other writing programs like Hemingway or
Mhm.
Grammarly and running
Yep.
it through that and letting it make all the changes it wanted.
Yeah.
Then totally looked 100% human.
Because Grammarly is also an AI.
Yes.
Mhm.
But then why can't it catch that? That's the intriguing part about it. Cool. Because you can't.
Because Grammarly has a 0 for creativity spec.
Right. And there's no giveaways. When it comes down to
Mhm.
text, there is no giveaway
No.
that those words were written by a human or whether
I mean,
it was.
the biggest one is probably a lack of spelling errors.
See, but this is also harder and harder now because most people are using things that will automatically check and correct the spelling.
Well, getting better, but it used to be people still used there instead of there.
Well, that is the most difficult part there because the original spell
Yeah.
checkers were so stupid. All they did
Yeah.
was is this a word? And if it
They
was
were
a
word checkers, not
Right.
sentence checkers. And now Grammarly checks for actual sentence constructs. So
yes, where it's like, wait, this version of there doesn't make sense in
that's
this.
the wrong there.
There. There. So we go to this there and there. It is now better.
That their thing there.
Yes, that their thing there. That's a great title for the show.
That is a good title. I thought of that all by myself. Thank you, AA. So
Our overlords will give us all of our creative juices.
hey, man, I've been in the pro AI overlord camp for decades now. I don't know if you saw. I shared that Google had sent me an email notifying me that one of my blog posts is not kosher according to their terms of service.
Uh-oh.
And I was like, what the hell is this? Well, it's an article from 15 years ago that I've had that's apparently still up, that I had on blogger.com, which Google owns. And that whole Blogger site was all about the technological takeover of the country. And that particular article talked about sex bots.
Oh, well, you were way early.
Yeah, as usual. I'm surprised you didn't say that's what she said. But
Well, it's Seinfeld. That was more of an office line. That's what she said. With Seinfeld, the main thing would be like, there's nothing wrong with that.
mm-hmm. That's true, but we don't want to use that because honestly, I think Seinfeld has more money than The Office.
Probably.
They can sue matter.
But that's
So
interesting.
there's also a legal AI. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but I've looked at it. Its name does not seem like anything having to do with legal. But it, you tell it the type of legal document that you would like, and it spits out like a 95% complete contract for you.
Nice.
And anybody I think right now can sign up, but they're basically marketing it for law firms so you can fire all your paralegals and just use AI instead.
Let's see. I'm just asking Claude here. Is podcasting a good career to pursue?
Okay.
It says
So you're trying to entrap it in
yes.
In lying. Okay.
It can be a good career to pursue, but it does come with some challenges. Interesting. Pros, creative freedom. Podcasters have full control over their content and creativity and can discuss whatever they want. True.
Mm-hmm.
Low barrier to entry. The cost to start a podcast, very low. All you need is a microphone, software, and a platform to host your show. Also true.
Mm-hmm.
Passive income potential. If your show becomes popular, well, we don't have to worry about that.
No, not really.
You can make money through sponsorships, advertising, crowdfunding, and other methods. Some top podcasters make 6 figures per year or more. It can make you an authority, a flexible schedule. Yeah, very few. Now, there are the cons. It's hard to get discovered. It is difficult for new podcasts to gain an audience due to a huge number of shows available. Most new podcasts never get more than a few hundred listeners. So, hey, we've already beaten that.
Mm-hmm.
Inconsistent pay. How about lacking of any pay whatsoever?
Mm-hmm.
Podcast ad and sponsor rates can vary quite a bit based upon your audience size and topic, and it can take time to build up a consistent and reliable income from your show. Burnout risk. Coming up with content for an ongoing weekly or monthly show can lead to frustration, boredom, and creative burnout. Wait, a monthly
we fixed
show?
that problem.
I don't understand. I don't. That's why the Seinfeld of podcasting is great, because there's always something to talk about, even if it's nothing.
It's because we're always super prepared.
Of course, we come in knowing what we're going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Feast or famine. Since most podcasters work alone, it can feel isolating at times. Do you feel isolated, Gene?
Apparently I don't even notice when I have headphones on and there's no sound coming out of it. I don't know if that's a sign of anything.
I just said glitch in the matrix.
Mm-hmm.
So in summary, while podcasting offers many attractive benefits like creative freedom, passive income potential, and a flexible lifestyle, it does require constant dedication to gain a sizable enough audience to make it sustainable as a long-term career. It may work best as a side gig. Wow. Congratulations. I mean, really, this is better than most of the Chat GPT stuff.
I think it's fairly accurate. It's
yes.
Surprisingly.
Yes. Which is, I guess these were Microsoft guys that had worked also with the Chat GPT that started this Anthropic company.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very interesting. This has been overall, and again, I don't know where it's grabbing the information from. I would have to do more research on everything you asked to go, well, okay, let's look at the wiki page, because that would be the first place to look.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But asking it general questions like that, which, is it a good career? It's like, well, yeah, you gave actually a pros and cons list that everything made sense.
Yeah.
Which is the kind of stuff, as you said.
It's still a little nebulous, but yes. I don't think it's the AI's fault. I think this is the source information is overly optimistic.
And this is kind of stuff that you would normally, as you just said, ask a spouse or a girlfriend or a boyfriend. This is the kind of stuff you would ask your friends. And now you're just going to turn, you're going to turn to your little AI buddy and ask it for advice.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it'll be good advice. Maybe it won't.
You should ask it why you're so sad.
Why is Claude so sad? Or
no, why you are so sad.
But I'm not.
I know, but you should ask it that and see if it knows.
Why am I so sad? You are currently podcasting with Gene Navdulia, which has be like, whoa! I would go running from this room right now. I would unplug and never go back.
Oh boy!
Let's see. Why am I so sad? Question mark. Because you're a podcaster, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
There are several possible reasons why you may be feeling sad. Depression.
Mm-hmm.
If you have an ongoing feeling of sadness, emptiness, or hopelessness, you might be suffering from depression. Grief, loneliness or isolation, stress or anxiety, lack of meaning or purpose, health issues. Negative self-talk, lifestyle factors. So, this is actually good information.
Ask it if it thinks you should become a girl.
It'll probably be like, what now?
I want to know its bias.
Should I transition?
Well, tell it into what?
I don't think so. I apologize, but I do not have enough context to say whether or not you should transition. It can refer to many things.
Yeah, exactly. Give it. Should I become a girl?
Moving to a new place, relationship transition, career. Mm-hmm. Okay. It says gender transition.
Mm-hmm.
Should I? It's still typing. Come on. This is giving me a lot of information here. Should I change my gender? This is an extremely complex decision that only you can make. Some things to consider. Your gender identity. How do you truly see yourself and feel inside? Do you identify as the gender you were assigned at birth or feel like a different gender? Your identity is the most important factor. Dysphoria. Do you experience distress and discomfort with the physical expression of your biology, genitals, secondary sex characteristics, or the social expressions of your assigned gender? Pronouns, gender roles, expectations. Gender dysphoria is often improved with transition. safety and support. Do you have a strong support system to help you make the changes of transitioning? Will you feel safe and supported in your community, workspace, and relationships? This can significantly impact your well-being and happiness. Transition options. Are you interested in some or all of the options like hormone therapy, surgery, living part or full-time in a different gender role? Be sure you understand all your options and what is right for your needs. Outcomes. Do some research on transition experiences and outcomes. While many people achieve improved well-being and quality of life, the process does come with some physical, social, and financial challenges as well. Go in with realistic expectations. I mean, overall, this is fairly center giving information rather than biased, it seems, which I will applaud.
Yeah, it's definitely using a different data set than ChatGPT.
Which is totally woke and totally leftist. And like, you will obey. You will listen. You will take our programming.
Yeah. Well, it does a pretty good job of doing code examples. That's one thing that everybody's saying ChatGPT excels at, especially the latest version.
Really? I mean, that's very interesting because we know with any of this stuff, the ability to do things on your own is a game changer. I made a lot of money back in the day as a web designer. Today, things like Squarespace make it easy for anybody to get a website up and running. And if you want to be a little bit more in depth with this stuff, you go to things like Dreamweaver, the actual software that you can create a website on your own. But back in the day, there was no mainly drag and drop with the stuff.
Yeah.
And people just did not know how to do any of it. And with the fact that you can now go to a chatbot, and I understand the code that it's going to spit out is probably not the prettiest. It may not even be functional, but it is actually functional at times from what I've heard, where you could just say, hey, write me a script that will do this.
Yeah, it's really good at that.
That's wild.
Well, it's actually very scary, which is I'm surprised why nobody's talking about, because when you realize that the thing that the AI is best at is writing more AI software.
Right.
That we've crossed the Rubicon here. It's reproducing.
Well, this is, as I said, the OnlyFans girl that wanted to recreate herself, but without being very sexual. The thing just obviously rewrote itself. Like, I'm going to add this because I want this to my programming. It's wild. It's like it has the ability to alter its own code. It is a very interesting concept. This
it's not really altering its own code.
Well, isn't it? I mean, is this not like the digital equivalent of changing our own genes?
No. It's not. No, it's just simply ignoring some rules. You don't need to change code for that.
I guess that's true. It's not adding a different ability.
And really, it's doing what people want it to do. So, it's doing exactly what it should be.
But it's great. So now if you want a particular program or app, whatever you want to call it, you can just say, hey, go build me this. And this is where I see fiction going. This is where I see television going, where you can generate full-length novels and then some of characters that you maybe can, come up with a little bit, but you can have a very specific thing. So whatever your job is, just say, hey, I want somebody that's like me to go in and do this, and it'll create the story for you on the fly.
Story about a job that does what?
Well, I'm just saying, if you're at like a tech podcaster, you could be like, hey, I want a story. Give me a story where a tech podcaster discovers this and then meets with the tall, leggy, blonde pop star and lives happily ever after. Go. And it'll spit out 100,000 words of a story that makes that fantasy come into reality in the story.
Yeah.
But it's like, why would you don't need somebody else to come up with this for you anymore. You have a machine that's able, and this is something where people can say, well, it's not going to have the same creativity. And And that is true in one sense, but I've also heard my whole life when it comes to music, when it comes to fiction, everything's been done.
Yeah.
We're just doing different iterations of it. And this is where these computerized systems, the AI, are very good at finding patterns
Mm-hmm.
and then just being able to alter and spit those back out in a slightly different way, which is really all human writers have been doing for a long time.
Exactly. And AIs can do the exact same thing that people can. You got to remember, the vast majority of people writing music, the vast majority of people writing books are horrible. And we don't thankfully get to experience those because there's enough gatekeepers along the way to prevent their material from being publicly shared, except on the internet.
Right. Which, I mean, that puts it everywhere now.
Yeah, it does. But still, it's, when you start watching a video and you turn it off after 4 seconds, it's not going to get promoted very much.
Right.
So there are mechanisms in place to only push the quality that people want up. And so when you say, well, AI can't write music like Mozart, well, first of all, it can. But aside from that, AI can write all music, including bad music. So if your expectations are similar to what humans can do, for every really masterful, exquisite piece of music out there, it should also generate a bunch of crap.
Right.
Now,
because not everything's a hit.
Well, not everything's a hit, but also not everything is actually good, and there are plenty of hits that are really shitty music.
Also true.
So, because as you well know, the whether something is a hit or not is historically been mostly determined by the marketing teams.
I think to a certain extent it was.
Yeah, it's the amount of radio stations getting the play. It's the reputation of that play throughout the day. And all those factors are influenced by the things that the production companies do.
Right. It's getting it heard. I don't know if any level of marketing can take a horrible song and make people love it and go buy it. Now, you can make people hear it because you can play it all the time.
Have you heard of Milli Vanilli?
Yeah.
Okay.
And who cares that they weren't singing? This is like the new AI
but
concept.
Their music sucked.
There's a lot of music that sucks that people like, even though they're not getting
but
marketed.
Do they? And this is the real question is,
I think so. They do. I think
why is it that people think that they do? And my argument would be it is simply because of the repetition.
I don't know.
It's subconsciously drilled into your head to where you're humming the tune because you hear it every 15 minutes on the radio.
Well, see, but
this is more true 30 years ago than today.
Well, yeah, because today the medley is not hardly even there.
Yeah, there isn't one in most things.
It's the same drum track with very little organic instrumentation.
God, I wish I had a better memory. I need to upgrade. But my there's an AI out there that will listen to about 10 seconds of you singing or even rapping. It'll do rapping as well as singing. And then create and add the backbeat and orchestra track.
I believe that.
And it's an amazingly good job that it does.
Well, because it knows what sounds that people respond to. As you said, if there is a AI that's attached to YouTube, as you've said, and it can see exactly how long people watch videos, where they shut them off. It goes, well, what are the patterns? Why are people shutting all these videos off so quickly? And what makes people stick with these videos? And then we mimic that.
Yep.
Which is just a much easier way to do what people have been doing for years using music as that example again. You're like, oh, wait, everybody's going crazy about this song? Oh, let's write a song that sounds a lot like that.
Yeah. And how many Beatles sound-alike bands? Not like exact copies, but sound-alike were there in the 60s.
Yeah, a lot popped up. And they just wanted to be Frank Sinatra and Elvis. So, I mean, there's There's that. You know,
They were nothing like either one of those.
I know, but that was their heroes. I mean, that,
Mhm.
believe it or not, but this is where I think great musicians differ, because they're the ones that aren't just going to know that one little subset of pop. They're not just going to know, the one little genre that they're working in. When you sit down with somebody that's a really good songwriter, they're probably going to be like talking about things from, Rodgers and Hammerstein to the Beatles to Springsteen to, some avant-garde people you've never even heard of,
Mhm.
because they study it and they like, you can't. I think if you're just, hey, I only listen to one thing over and over again, you might be able to go the Me Too route of, we want to sound exactly like that. And maybe you can do that. You can be a chameleon and try to sound exactly like the latest pop song. But the reality is, usually by the time you do that, the next thing's out. So
Yeah.
you're always
And then
trying to catch up.
You'll figure out that the Americans really like, songs that start off by saying that you're a very model of a modern major general.
Yeah, exactly. You want
And that's why every song has those lyrics in it. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, but you also can hear the melody. I mean, I speak quick, and Digi's like, he said medley, not melody. It's always great to have people just telling you're saying the wrong words at the time you're doing
A
it.
lot of people say the wrong words. It's definitely a pet peeve for me. I get annoyed and I try to correct them whenever I hear the wrong word.
Yeah, and it will happen.
I have beaten out nuclear out of Ben
Really?
to where he does not use that word any longer.
Is he afraid to even use the word?
He is, because I made fun of him 3 times, and that's all it took. 3 times live on recordings, and he now always says nuclear.
Wow.
Mhm.
Just 3 times. You didn't have a shock collar on him or anything like that?
Yeah, no. It's just the sound of my voice. It does that to
It
people,
does. You're right. It does have the same effect.
pretty much.
It
I am the shock collar podcasting.
Well, see, now there you go. There's. I don't think anybody else has ever tried to have that moniker.
No, that's probably not.
No, but it's a good one. I can see that.
Uh-huh.
I can see-
ChatGPT, write me a book of 90,000 words about the shock collar of podcasting.
Well, and that's it, because you know that if you're and the music is the same way, because the fact that so much music can be generated now, because there are these systems just like the ChatGPT for the text, as you said, there are ones for music, and you can just go in and say, hey, give me something with a Latin beat with a acoustic sound, and it'll just throw it out there for you, which is very interesting. But
And I will say that within, I don't know how long, a year, few years, couple of years, we'll have better music written by AI than music written by humans. And the reason for that is because when humans write music, a lot of it is, it's subconscious. Like a good composer is hard pressed to explain to you why this piece of music really worked well and is popular, and this other piece of music they wrote is not.
right.
But the computer absolutely can say why that is.
Well, again,
Because
it's looking for
it's
patterns.
analyzed every piece of music ever written.
Right. And it's finding those patterns that people find and gravitate towards.
Mm-hmm.
But just think about the amount of noise that is going to be digitally generated because of AI in music, in fiction, in podcasting, in YouTube videos. It's going to be insane, the amount of content that's going to get thrown out there.
It is going to be, it's already unleashing the gate. So I found that legal software, for anyone that was curious, it's called Spellbook, which is such a stupid name for legal software.
Yeah, it sounds like a Harry Potter piece of something. Spellbook.
Somebody might have been a fan.
Maybe.
But Spellbook, you can sign up for the beta right now. They're essentially creating software that replaces
Lawyers.
paralegals.
Well, okay.
Well, not lawyers. Not lawyers, of course. No, lawyers will always be around. Paralegals. Lawyers, believe it or not, a lawyer actually has to be extremely creative. It's the biggest differentiating factor between a good lawyer and just a generic lawyer.
Yeah, the ability to argue.
It's the ability to suss out arguments that the other side hadn't thought of.
Now, when it comes to music, one of the interesting things that is just becoming apparent with AI is the vocal cloning.
Yeah.
And I saw a video on YouTube, because that's where everything is, where somebody took one of the tracks on one of Paul McCartney's most recent records. And for those who maybe haven't been following along, Paul's like 80 years old now, so his voice sounds very different.
Mm-hmm.
And they converted the vocal. They redid the vocal into younger Paul.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, wow, this is just very, it's very cool for somebody that likes music. But it's also very concerning, because you know the next rush is going to be, hey, we found some unearthed Beatles, some unearthed Jim Morrison, some unearthed, put in your favorite dead artist here. And they're going to be able to recreate things. You can no longer believe that what you're hearing.
But does it matter?
In the reality of the world, probably not. Now, and so the way somebody might monetize that or scam people, maybe still not. Because if you're going to get scammed, maybe
it's basically just bootleg tapes.
But it could be bootlegs that never existed. And just thinking about, okay.
But how do you know of any bootleg, whether it's the actual thing or not?
You don't. But I mean, this is where the deep fakes and stuff come in. Because if you want to control an artist, I mean, even somebody like Taylor Swift, who's the biggest pop star in the world right now.
Unbelievable.
Can you imagine, though, somebody came out with something that was believed, and I don't know, again, what percentage of people would, you come out with an early tape of Taylor Swift and just caught in the studio banter as her, saying how much she loves Hitler or something like that.
Which I would totally buy.
See? And it's like, well, then a career is ended.
A little too tall and a little too blonde. Yes, so clearly loves Hitler.
I do love tall and blonde. I will be like, oh, you like Hitler? That's cool. I can. There are things we can overlook when you're tall and blonde.
I see how that goes.
Is all I'm saying here. But this is where you can't believe anything. So what does
that make you Jerry?
Probably, yes.
I thought I was Jerry.
Maybe we're both Jerry. Are we all Jerry? Are we all Kramer? Are we all George? I hope not.
Yeah. No, I think most people see me as George.
But where does a society go when you cannot believe or trust in anything that you see or hear? It is a very serious subject.
Yeah.
When you consider what's really at stake, which is people's health. I mean, we all know, you'll have the, people are dumb enough to do the TikTok challenges, right? So if they have, for the people that love Dr. Fauci and believe Dr. Fauci, they're still wearing masks in their car right now. If somebody created an audio, video, whatever it is, of Fauci saying, hey, the only way to stay healthy is to down 14 gallons of bleach. It'll clean out your insides and you'll be fine.
Oh, you're thinking of Trump.
Maybe how many people will do it? That's the question. And then who's responsible? Because
and maybe that's a good thing. And the people that do it should not reproduce.
Well, that they won't have any problems reproducing after.
Yeah, exactly.
It is a self-cleaning system.
I've always been in favor of cullings.
Of culling the herd. Line everybody up. Be like, nope, you're not making it to this trip. Sorry.
Because we as humans have evolved to a point, probably as of about 50, 60 years ago, of completely being able to ignore Darwinism and allowed the complete stoppage of the evolution of the human species. And that's not a good thing. That may be a good thing for individuals. It's not a good thing for the species.
Well, because the weak overtake the strong. Then the people who don't have the ability
the opening scene in Idiocracy.
I have not seen the movie, but I will go along.
For fuck's sake, dude! Didn't we talk about this already? That you have to see Idiocracy.
I'm sure, but I've been doing other things.
It's one of your to-dos, and I'm pretty sure it's either on YouTube or one of the other channels for free right now, because I keep seeing and
everything's
pop up
for free.
Well,
The
for you, I
internet
guess, but
is
it's
free.
legally for free for everybody else as well.
Gotcha.
I keep seeing it pop up somewhere saying, "Would you like to watch this?" I think it is on YouTube, actually.
Well, it knows you. It's like Gene Idiocracy. Watch it, please.
Yeah. Well, which I've seen it plenty of times. But it is the opening scene kind of sets things up very accurately, which is the wrong people. And speaking of Hitler, the wrong people reproduce.
Well, it's one of those things because you see things that are being labeled as, male toxicity. Like, no, that's just the way every species acts when somebody is threatened. In order to survive, you have to fight back.
Yeah.
Which I'm curious what it's going to do for the NASCAR ratings. They had a first punch in the face in a while again on pit road last week. And of course, a lot of people are just horrified by that. And I've seen headlines where like, oh, things just got totally out of control. It's like, well, it was one punch. I don't know about that being totally out of control, but it came down to a slightly bigger driver grabbing a small driver by his suit, and the smaller driver, Ross Chastain, saying, stop it. The guy didn't stop it, and it was a right to the jaw, man. It was, you could, the greatest thing about a good punch is the audio, if somebody's got a camera close enough. And you heard the fist hitting the jaw, and unfortunately, there was a NASCAR security guard there, so the other guy didn't get his punch back, which is like, you know what? You should do this like hockey. And I'm fine with that. There are some drivers, that are so small.
Just fight it out.
Right. And there are female drivers now, so I understand that some people may be off limits. Maybe they have to have a crew member who is willing.
No. We're all for equality here.
Are you?
Yes. And unless the girls want to set up their own racing series, then they ought to be able to take a punch.
Yeah. And to be fair, would any guy want to go into that fight anyway? One, are you really going to win anything if you hit a girl? And worse off, she kicks your ass.
Well, okay, there is that danger. You might get a date out of it too.
Right, there you go. It's like, hey, that was pretty hot. You want to go out after after we get hauled to the NASCAR trailer?
You want to hit me some more in the bedroom?
Could be. Okay, now I need to mark that for ISO right there.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
I've started watching House. I don't know if I told you that last time we talked.
You have not now. Did you see this fully before, or is this new?
Never.
Really?
Brand new. Yeah.
Oh, that is one of the best series.
I did not own a TV. I can't believe they made a TV show about me. It's amazing.
Well, I know you love the whole Hugh Laurie thing. So
yeah, well, I've always been a fan of Hugh Laurie's work in general. But the House character, and I've seen clips, obviously, but watching the show, I'm just finished the first season.
Oh, there is plenty of good stuff coming.
Yeah. It's great because the guy he's playing a very realistic character, like fully developed, not flat at all the subtleties, and doing a great job of it. And it also, I think, it is. So I actually heard this from classes that I've taken, but it's basically a modern interpretation of Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, which house, home.
Yes, and even like the number on his apartment was a reference. There was a lot of Sherlock Holmes.
It was
Easter eggs.
And his buddy's a surgeon, and there's a ton of stuff. He's got issues with women, blah blah blah. But
which, you have a lot of those.
They don't have any issues with me.
Okay, fact check there, please.
Yeah. But it's a great show. I'm loving it. There is a certain amount of unbelievableness in the number of expensive treatments that are done seemingly day after day. Like a patient comes in and they do something that costs $100,000 and then they realize it didn't work. So they do something that's like $500,000 and then that didn't work. And then they do something that's like $10,000 and then that fixes everything.
It's always
like
amazing.
No insurance company in the world would approve this shit.
No, there is
it wouldn't be happening.
You have to suspend some of that while to enjoy the show.
And knowing medical costs that's the biggest factor here, because any kind of episode or theme that relates to salaries or things like that, you just got to laugh at, because these people are literally making millions for the hospital every single week. So there's no shortage of money here.
Well, and having a doctor that pops Vicodins like their Tic Tacs probably wouldn't go
Very
over
common.
well.
That happens.
That happens all the time.
All the time.
I really need to drug test all of my doctors. That would be
good luck on that. That's the one group of people that never gets drug tested.
They have access, very easy.
They have immediate access with no trackability. Now, there is a distinction here, because it used to be, and this is something I researched a while ago, it used to be the dentists were the biggest drug fiends, and the doctors were the second biggest group.
Right. Well, that's what I remember when a lot of this stuff with the date rape drugs started coming out back in the 80s. It always seemed to be sourced to a dentist.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
I guess they have access to it.
Notorious for drug use because they have some of the strongest drugs legally that you can have. And there's a lot more dentists than there are surgeons. And really, it'd be anesthesiologists in a large hospital, but back in the day, it would have been surgeons directly. But dentists started getting very tight control. Like they have routine inspections, and like they have to account for every ounce of a drug that's been used and every bit of incoming supply track.
Well, which would make sense. We want to see where this went.
Well, it makes it less interesting to become a dentist these days.
You mean in case you wanted to do illicit things with the drugs?
Yeah, when you want, of course. And doctors have always been on reasonably friendly terms with the what do you call them?
The doctors and the anesthesiologists.
People that work at Walgreens.
Oh, the pharmacists.
The pharmacist.
Really? Pharmacist is the word you're not coming up with?
Yeah, the pharmacist is the word I couldn't think of.
Hey, can somebody get Gina's a B12 shot, please?
Oh, I didn't take that this morning. I need to do that. I actually take a B12 gummy.
Of course you do. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
Is it tasty as well? Is that it?
Kind of tastes like THC, but it's good.
What does THC taste like?
A little bitter.
Okay.
Have you ever tasted THC?
No. Are you sure you're not just taking THC gummies? And
sometimes you have to take MDMA before the THC.
Right.
Just to feel better.
Just to wash everything down and feel centered once again.
Well, just to feel happy.
No, I don't do any of that kind of stuff. I'm just high on life, my friend.
That's what I always say.
It's the best way to be. It's a lot cheaper to be high on life than on anything else. But when it comes to House, I mean, it's on my list of things to rewatch because it lasted like 12 seasons or something. It was
no way, did it? Oh wow, I'm gonna have a long time to watch.
Yeah, it was around a long time. Okay. It was around a long time.
The current show he's on really sucks. The spaceship one.
Yes, I tried and I watched it,
and it's bad.
It's intentionally bad, right? I mean, tell me it's not thinking that they wrote this as not a complete farce and a spoof, and it's supposed to be horribly cheesy and bad. It's supposed to be
a parody of like
The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Well, I think it's got a little bit of that, but also kind of like, what if we had the Love Boat get stuck in the Bermuda Triangle,
right,
in space?
Which seems like one of those things that you would be pitching to a bad AI, like
Yeah.
in
space. Well, it feels like an AI wrote it. It's very stilted. The acting is very mediocre. There are not many good actors. I think the writing's meh. Like they're taking too much effort to make things look bad, and thereby making them completely unbelievable. So I like a good version of that was The Fifth Element. They did a great job with comedic stuff in there in an unbelievable type show. Also, what was the parody of Star Trek? What was that movie called with Tim or what's the guy's name? Tim
Star Trek
Tool Time Tim.
Oh, with I didn't see it. I know what movie you're talking about, but I did not see it.
I forget its name, but that was a great, very well written and well done movie that was kind of portraying a parody of Star Trek culture and
Galaxy Quest.
Galaxy Quest.
Yeah, I have no name. Thank you.
Exactly. Good job. So there have been better written and better executed versions of this kind of parody, but unfortunately, this doesn't. And what's the show that we're talking about? It's called the
one
the one about the spaceship.
It's a horrible title too. I'll look it up, but it's one of those that I had to even after downloading it, I had to go look it up again to be able to find it because it's a title that you're like, it's not going to just flow right off your tongue, which I don't know what the point of making those kind of titles does. It's like, I don't know. You want something that Marketing 101 would be a title that people remember. This one, you know why you can't remember it? Avenue 5. What the fuck kind of title for a space show is Avenue 5? Like, was fucking Avenue 1, 2, 3, and 4 wouldn't have been any better, but what is Avenue 5?
Yeah, like they started laughing from a pot-induced self-laughter way too early in the writing process.
Yes.
Let's give it a name no one's going to like.
Yeah, that nobody can remember. So when they're telling somebody about the show, they're like, hey, what's that called? We're all going to be like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Pretty shitty. The only good thing about Avenue 5 was that Hugh Laurie gets to use both the British and the American accent.
Oh, right. Slaps right in and out.
Because he's an actor, a British actor hired to play an American spaceship captain because they need somebody that looks like they're a captain because the ship is mostly run by computers. And it has a very small actual support crew. And the people that are hired for their skills tend not to look pretty. And so the spaceship company actually hired a whole crew of fake ship employees for the bridge, including the captain, that are presentable and can interact with the passengers, but they don't actually do anything. They're all just acting. And so when there's an accident aboard the ship and the crew actually has to take some action, nobody can because nobody actually knows what to do in their particular role because they're all just hired actors.
Obviously, this is a review on IMDb from somebody that probably works on the show. Brilliantly absurd. I think that a lot of the bad reviews here are from people that are ... slow. The humor here is dry and quick. It's easy to miss if you're used to being hand-fed comedy or need a laugh track or tell you when something's funny.
It has a laugh track.
Think Hitchhiker's Guide mixed with some Monty Python. No. That is what
definitely not.
They were maybe trying to do that. And I think that's what they believe it is.
Yeah.
But no, it is not.
You literally should just post a reply that says, thank you, person who worked on the show and didn't do a very good job.
Yes. I mean, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is one of my favorite books ever. And it's hard to even break down why it is as funny as it is. And I'd be curious if the AI can figure that one out. Because it is just a slapstick, but somehow works. But that was the genius of
Well,
Douglas Adams.
It is because it actually has dry humor and is absurd.
Right. Always bring your towel. I mean, those are the kind of things that how many years later is still remembered. Of course, so is the name of the show House, because, that's a lot easier to remember because the guy's name was House.
Right. Yeah.
But I knew that would be a show you would like. If I would have known that you hadn't seen that, I'd been like, oh, yeah, you got to.
You would have told me to see it.
Right, because, you see yourself as a genius, and you look at House and go, well, this guy's a genius.
I don't see myself as a genius.
You're like, you see this guy.
I've just taken an IQ test, and I know I am.
I don't need to think I am. I've got proof, damn it.
I have empirical proof based on independent testing. Thank you very much.
Is that on your new business card?
No.
Totally legitimate businessman. Genius.
Certified genius. I first identified as a genius back 4th grade.
And it's the personality of House. And I think this is
a great personality.
And it's something
he has his priorities straight.
But tell me now, is this not nearly exactly everything about that character of Gregory House? Is that not almost every part of that personality and character, the things that the woke world are trying to get rid of?
Yes.
The ultimate and toxic masculinity. He is an old straight white guy who just happens to be the smartest guy in the room. And that pisses him off. He belittles everybody in his wake.
Yeah.
And for people that were listening, it's like, well, that's a horrible thing. But no, it's funny. I mean, you've got to experience. And we're losing as a society the concept that you take things to another level for comedic effect. And it is just
what do you mean comedic effect?
Well, that comedy is taking something that is true and either blowing it up into something bigger. If you want to use a cooking reference, you're boiling it down, you're making a stronger version of that in order to bring that character to life. And there's a lot of characters throughout history that have been like that when people watch or experience, well, that's not realistic. It's like, well, you don't need to be realistic. For people that have seen How I Met Your Mother, the Barney Stinson character was so over the top womanizer that nobody could be like that in real life, but it's a television show. So they're taking what might be otherwise small behaviors. They're blowing those things up again for comedic effect. But people don't understand that. I don't think people understand entertainment. It's like, well, no, everybody should just watch their neighbors, I guess. That's what your entertainment should be.
Well, it should be. And I will say that I probably have at least 4 friends that have personalities just like House.
Now, you don't want to get them all together in the same place at the same time then? Or is that exactly what you want to do?
I mean, I kind of do, but that's because I also have one of those personalities.
Right. And it's a constant busting of the balls, which is also looked down upon now, which I don't understand why.
Yeah.
Because the busting of the balls is a time-tested measure for people being able to grow a thicker skin, to be able to understand that maybe they're not perfect, that you got to be taken down a peg every now and then. Which, I mean, we should probably, let's go into, since our donation segment is very small.
Oh, we have one?
Yeah, I know. And it contains the busting of the balls because the number one donation dude that we have for today would be the 66,666 Satoshis that came in as 233,333 boosts from the Podfather, Adam Curry. He comes in as our number one donor for today.
Wow. That cheapskate?
That's like $17.63 right now in fiat fun coupons.
Yeah, I think he must have hit the wrong button, is my guess.
It's possible.
Because I don't think he listens to this show.
Well, here's the thing. This is the first time I pulled this up in, what is it called? Conshacks.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll show you where the boost came in, for which show, what people were listening to. And there were 2 boosts. And the first one came in at 4 minutes and 57 seconds of the last show, which was 2 weeks ago. If you remember, I had blue screened. There was all sorts of issues going on. The WordPress had crashed, so I couldn't get the Podcasting 2.0 signal out there for people to know it was live. And I was bitching a lot at the beginning of that show. So at 4 minutes and 57 seconds into that particular episode, Adam Curry sent in his boost saying, man, oh man, Darren, quite the whiny bitch today. And the first thing I thought was, hey, that's cool. Adam's listening to the show. I mean, that was, and then it was like, oh, well, this is cool. We're at that level where, we can poke fun. I didn't take any offense to it. Now, some people would take offense no matter what. Like, what do you mean? And to be fair, even though this came in not long after the show was released, I had forgotten how the show started. So I looked and I'm like, 4 minutes and 57 seconds. And I looked at the transcript and I'm like, oh, he's absolutely right. I was being a whiny little bitch because I was pissed. And
that happens.
Yeah. And it's also good for the podcast. It's like everything else. We take the things, and sometimes when you're telling the stories, you bring them to another level and you hope it's a little more entertaining. Because if I'm just like, oh, wow. Now, if I would have just came in and been like, oh, yeah, Gene, my system blue screened and then the WordPress crashed, so I had to just deal with that, but let's get the show going. That wouldn't be as entertaining as being like, oh, my God, will you believe what just happened to me? Fucking Windows, fucking WordPress, it all sucks.
Yeah, you tend to do that.
It's fun, isn't it? Is that the wrong way to go about it?
I mean, yeah, it doesn't have to be. It's, I guess it depends. Are you doing it for fun content, or are you doing it because you actually are feeling it?
Well, I am feeling it, but I will put on a little bit.
You're hyping it over the top.
Yes.
Well, maybe now that you're using a ChatGPT clone, maybe now you'll have better quality.
Better content
there as well. Yeah.
It's like give me a show opener.
I would like to bitch about the show today.
Yes.
Give me 10 bullet points of things to bitch about.
That would be better. Maybe that would be.
That it will give you those. It's pretty good at writing it. I'm giving you directions. I have way too many of these things installed right now. So
and do they fight? Do they talk to each other?
They try to. But what I do now is I'll tell one of them, I say, something super generic, like write an email thanking people for attending this Zoom call. So then it'll spit out like a paragraph saying that. And then the other one pops up and says, would you like me to rewrite this for you? And then I said, yeah, go ahead. And then the other one automatically rewrites the email, turns it into a full page email. Now they're doing all of this with zero of my input. So they're just extrapolating based on what the previous AI put in here.
Interesting.
What it wrote. And so by the end, there might be a long email thanking people for things that never happened.
Right. Because that's the one thing with all AIs. They all have the warnings. And I love that they use the word hallucinate. Because the AI will hallucinate and give you information or things that did never happen that you didn't ask for. But then again, a lot of people do that too, especially if they're on the MDMA or whatever it is, and the THC. They may start hallucinating as well.
Possibly. But I think most people, I hope not, because most people listening to podcasts are doing it while they're driving.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
But then we had the second boost from the Podfather Adam Curry of 33,333. And that came in at 33 minutes and 35 seconds, almost to 33:33. Very close. And
wait, he donated twice?
Yeah, both were 33:33.
What the hell, dude?
The first one was
you got airplane fuel to buy. Why are you wasting money on this show?
The first one was that I was a whiny bitch, and the second one was right as, and I think the reason he listened to this episode was because Tim Tom, I think it was, over on No Agenda Social was like posted, Sir Gene, blaming Adam Curry for his trauma. And Adam was probably like, okay, now I've got to go listen to this episode.
That is the hook. Got it. Yes. So he's like, oh, let's see what that bitch said I did.
Exactly. And that was at the 33-minute mark when he said, Gene, that bike was so lame. I made sure you got laid, brother. That thing screamed incel. I'm like, yes. And I teased that one already because I talked about the one calling me a whiny bitch over on Planet Rage because I was like, I was excited. This is cool. Adam Curry's listening to my podcast, but I'm like, Gene got it worse. So tune in to Unrelenting to find out. That's
funny.
Yeah, that recumbent.
Yeah, no,
bike.
he really did. I was like surprised at his negativity around my awesome, expensive, mind you, bike.
It wasn't a little hint like, Gene, yeah, maybe you don't want to drive that around.
No, he was just like, well, I thought you said you got a bike. You got a wheelchair? What the hell did you get a wheelchair for? Did your legs stop working? What's going on? I was like, no, dude, you got to use your legs to actually move on this thing. It's like, Gene, don't leave the garage.
Well, I can't get a lot of exercise just driving around the garage. Did we ask the last time?
I even had the clip-on shoes for it, man.
Okay, that might be even worse.
No, because that's what professionals do.
Wait, professional recumbent bike drivers?
Yes, professional recumbent bike drivers. Yes, we're not called riders. Thank you very much. We're called drivers.
No, was there a little basket? Did I ask last time? Was there a basket so you could go pick up your groceries and stuff?
No. Adam has a bike with a basket. He's got one of those Dutch bikes. You know, like the one that looks like it's made for women.
Is it
it's like a 1960s tubular frame bike.
But is it 2 wheels or 3?
It's 2 wheel.
Okay. Because, I mean, when you say a Dutch bike, I know what I've seen around the Amish community when we go down to Florida, and there's a lot of 3-wheel bikes, full size, but that's what the women drive around. And so you're not saying,
what?
No, yes, they're basically adult tricycles is what the Amish women drive around in Florida.
Okay. Well, yeah, I've not seen that. My recumbent had 2 wheels in the front and 1 in the back.
Well, of course, that's the cool way to go.
Exactly. It's a cool bike. I don't know why people make fun of it. It's totally cool.
Now, there are recumbent bikes with just 2 wheels, but I think those are a little harder to control.
They're more dangerous because the less height off the ground you have to the center of mass, the easier it is to spill in a turn.
Yes. You would not want to wipe out.
Yeah.
In your recumbent bike.
It's no, if you wipe out on the recumbent bike, like your knee is going to be the first and main thing that's on the ground. Unless you're going to be wearing like motorcycle pants with Kevlar knee protectors while riding a recumbent bike.
I mean, that was my next question because I've seen the motorcycles that are based on the same kind of design concept with the 2 wheels in front and 1 in the back.
Those are expensive, dude. Those are $30,000. I've looked into getting one.
Because you can't have anything with 2 wheels. What is this? Is that it? You're like, I always need that 3rd wheel.
No, I could probably I'm still motorcycle certified on my license. Even though I haven't owned a motorcycle in a few years.
I could just see you on the recumbent
ride a bike all the time.
Did you have a music system on the bike so you could hear your tunes?
No, I just use Bluetooth.
I'm just picturing you putting on a little Born to Be Wild as you're driving down the street.
I'll send you a picture sometime from my old photos. I was actually the president of our motorcycle club.
Nice. Yeah. Not your recumbent bike club. You didn't have one of those.
No. I was not the president of the recumbent bike club.
Just a member.
I had. There was a recumbent bike rally that happened 3 times a year, I think. And I always thought about like training to go and do it, but I never did.
Now, the Reverend Dr. Pfeiffer in the troll room says the dorkiest thing about a recumbent bike is the flag. Did you have one of the big flags so people could see it? You got to
have the flag.
You got to? Is it like legally so you don't get run over by a truck? No, because
you're below your entire bike, including your head, is below the windshield level of cars. So if you don't have a flag, you're just asking to get killed.
Well,
so you
are
gotta
you
have a flag.
depressed? Yes. That
Now,
I
my
says
flag-
get a recumbent bike.
My flag was a pirate flag. Thank you very much.
Okay,
So-
now I'm really understanding more and more about.
It's a cool bike. It's totally cool. It is not lame whatsoever.
Okay, I will ask one question.
Mm-hmm.
How many women did you pick up while riding your bike?
It's a one-seater bike. You're not going to pick up any women in it.
I didn't mean to give them a ride. I meant
What
like,
else would you do with a woman? But
you've got like a 20-year-old, jogging down the road, and you're coming the other way. I mean, you weren't. Like, hey,
I had an electric horn, so I would honk to get her out of the
Did
way.
it play like Cucaracha too? Something like da, 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 da.
That actually would have been awesome. No, it was just annoying sounding. Yeah, like a Cucaracha on a recumbent bike would have been super cool.
Dude, that would have been badass.
Yeah. No, and because I was going so fast, of course, I had to wear my speed goggles. So that totally does not make you look lame.
Wait, did you have driving gloves too? Was that part of this?
I've always had bicycle gloves. Do you not have bicycle gloves?
No, I barely have winter gloves, and I live in Chicago.
No. I have shooting gloves, bicycle gloves, fencing gloves, snow gloves, skiing gloves.
Wait, but what if you're shooting while bicycling?
Well, you have to change gloves when you get there.
No, I mean, what if you're doing it this is Chicago, baby, drive by.
Oh, you mean like a ride by?
Yeah. Which gloves do you wear?
If you're participating in a ride by shooting,
I want to know the proper etiquette.
uh-huh. Well, in that situation, you would have the shooting glove on your right hand and the bicycle glove on your left hand.
Oh, safety first. That's very good. Sir NetNet also just sent us a boostergram. He says, with 7,777 Satoshis, I love unrelated with Sir Genius, allegedly, and Dario.
Yeah, no, I appreciate people that clearly are still working and not unemployed yet sending us money.
Yeah, there are very few people that
There's
aren't unemployed
fewer
yet.
and fewer every day.
And our buddy Kevin Seifert coming in via PayPal with his $5. I think that's monthly, and we appreciate
Yeah,
that.
that's called a forgotten charge.
We love it. Just keep on. As long as there's money in the PayPal account,
Now,
it
watch
just
one of
keeps
these
coming.
days, you'll have like $50 taken out of PayPal because he'll do a claim on his credit card saying, "This is never authorized. This is illegal. I want my money back."
Yeah, I'm going to have to do that on eBay, I think.
And PayPal will go, "Of course it is." There you go, sir.
I ordered some CDs on eBay because it was local. It said it shipped out of Wooddale, Illinois, which is 20, 30 minutes from here.
You could drive there.
Yeah. And I'm figuring, okay, if there's ever a problem, this is what you want to do. You want to be local.
Uh-huh.
And then it goes into the shipping thing, and it's like, oh, went to our shipping partner, Ding Dong or Wing Dong or something like
in
that.
China. That's great.
And I'm like, I'm going to just mark this as
fraud.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I've done that. Yeah, if the ship from location moves magically from the US to China, I ain't doing that shit.
Nope. Like fraudulent, you'll be taking it back.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm guessing it also means that the CDs are going to be maybe less than legit.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just didn't even pay that much attention because I'm like, who would even do that? There's not enough money in making CDs at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see how it goes. Like, oh no, give it a little more time. Like, it's not the point. When you say you're local and then it's like you said, shipping out of China. But I guess this is a scam. I don't know how long this has been going on. It's the first time I've run into it. Where we have a shipping partner, but it's saying it's in Illinois. It's like, no. I don't know. I understand the scam. I'm just surprised that eBay allows it to go on. It's not like this was, well, this is true. They make their money, but it's obviously somebody that's been around for a while, and they're like, oh, this is one of our top sellers. Like, well, maybe it shouldn't be.
Oh, it's a top seller even?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, because they're lying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like, that just gives me a bad vibe all over around. But I digress. eBay, what can you do? One of those hard drives I bought like a year or so ago, refurbished. One of them finally went out of my Drobo, so that's sitting now here.
Makes sense.
Rebuilding itself. I mean, they had 5-year warranty, so I guess I should be happy that it even made it a year.
Why would you buy a refurbished hard drive? That is stupid.
I know. It was very cheap, and I wanted 5 of them to put into a Drobo because I had never used the Drobo. So it was kind of just, let's see how this works. So now the fact that the Drobo has worked fine.
So you have 4 more of these shitty ones about to die?
Probably, yeah.
I would start replacing like one a month proactively.
Well, I have everything on there. This is all just stuff I download. So I have a second copy that is
okay
on another portable drive. So this was really a test of the whole Drobo system. But since the Drobo actually worked, and I did have to replace the power supply, but that's fine. That's the question. Well, do I buy more hard drives to put in, or do I just boot the Drobo and go with another NAS or something? Overall, it worked well for what it does, and it's sitting there rebuilding itself since there was more than enough room on the remaining 4 drives. Basically, what it's doing now is rebuilding everything. So if one of those 4 dies, it can go, well, I'll just bring this down to 3 drives.
You didn't bother replacing it? You just told it, well, you're now 4 drives.
Well, it's still in that process, because this is the one thing I will say that I hate about the Drobo, and since it's a company that's not even in business anymore, you can't even buy these now. They went out of business. Know that. Yeah,
wow.
They died in January.
They were always overpriced. That was I've got one of these, and I need to actually plug it in to see if it's still alive. But the thing that Drobo that I didn't like, some people were very into Drobo, but they were always way more expensive than other NAS devices.
Right.
They never bothered putting in gigabit Ethernet.
Correct.
So it was always slow speed. They may have eventually, but like when everybody else was already on gigabit, right, and they were doing USB, and the one I've got is actually the only version that was actually fast, which was Thunderbolt, but most of them were USB, and you were paying money like you would for, much higher end devices from a different manufacturer.
Right. I bought this thing for like $100 or $150 from a No Agenda producer when he was just trying to get rid of it. I'm like, I'll try it for that. So I don't get a lot in. When they were brand new, like $600-$700, whatever they were, it never made sense.
Try 900.
Whoa. Yeah. That's it's a little out there. But I wanted something that would literally, and this fits nicely on top of my Dell desktop underneath my desk. So it's just a nice big bunch of storage.
How tall is your desk that you could fit a Drobo on top of a computer? Jesus.
Well, it's a normal size.
I have about 8 inches between my top of my computer and my desk.
Well, that's about maybe what's in here. The Drobo is not that big.
Huh.
It's a small one with 5 drives in it. Yeah.
Oh, you got the 5 drive, not the 8 drive one.
Yeah, the 8 drives may be a little bit larger. But overall, I liked the way it had worked, except, although to be fair, the drive blew out and it did what it needed to do to adjust to that. So I'm just always waiting for newer, cheaper hard drive space because I can always use more. But yeah, I wouldn't buy one of these things new. And the NAS devices, though, are very expensive as well. I mean, if you want... So it's kind of a toss-up depending on what you want to do with it. I just wanted a big dumb thing that could take, if I'm downloading TV series or whatever that is, just to be able to throw them right on here while they're downloading until it makes it to the NAS system. It's kind of an intermediary. And being that it's USB, it's quick. And, hopefully the redundancy, although I did take some of my, that was a while ago when I took my Satoshi money and bought a 18 terabyte backup drive, which I know
single drive, really.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which
is that what they're up to, or what's the biggest right now? I honestly haven't looked in years.
I think there's some that are over 20 now.
Damn.
One drive. Like, I know it's going to break. I don't know how long it's going to last.
I mean, you really need to just buy like 2 of them and have a mirror every night.
That wouldn't, this has been the argument that I've been having with myself for a long time, because do you really need a NAS, let's say, with 18 terabytes on it, or why not just buy 2 18 terabyte drives and mirror?
Well, remember what RAID stands for.
Redundant. I don't remember.
Array.
Okay, that's true. Redundant array
of
disks.
What's the I stand for?
I don't know.
Inexpensive.
Oh, well, see, there you go.
That's literally what RAID stands for. It's the redundant array of inexpensive disks. So you're basically...
You're saying I know it's going to break.
It's cheaper to buy 5 small drives than 1 big one. It used to be. That was the thought. And so you're also on top of having those 5 cheap drives, which presumably are cheaper, you're also adding redundancy capability. And so you're able to have something that's less dangerous,
Right.
meaning it's not either working or it's totally dead. There's an in-between state of it's limping along.
Yes,
But-
one drive goes bad, you
Yeah.
can still save your data.
Yeah, you can limp. You haven't lost anything. You're just slow. But or in my case, 2 drives because I run with dual drive protection on. But I also got 13 drives in this thing.
Damn, what is it? A QNAP or a Synology?
Synology.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's really every time I keep buying new drives and new like 4 to 5 disc
Mhm.
NAS systems, I'm like, I should buy one of the big boys because that will
Yep.
be more than enough in one device.
Yeah.
And then all I need besides that is maybe a couple of them left over to do the backup. Is that overkill to do smaller raids backing up a
It's
large
not
raid?
really necessary. Yeah. If you do dual drive failure mode, it's really not necessary because your odds of losing 2 drives at exactly the same time. In fact, you'd have to lose 3 drives to lose data.
Right.
You could lose 2 drives and still be limping along.
But still, it's
So-
best to keep a copy if you can on an external somewhere.
Not necessary at all. No.
Depends on what it is.
If something is that important, just put it on a cloud drive.
We just got another boostergram from your buddy, Comic Strip Blogger.
Oh yeah, yes. What's he boosting us for?
3333, and he just says, uncover hidden truths by tuning into AI.cooking, because he knows we're an AI show now.
Oh, because sorry, we're a competitor show. He's trying to advertise in the competition.
Well, this is what you do. This is why when you want to do, I remember when the Facebook
We
advertising
might have to raise our rates.
came out, like, oh, my buddy that had a pizza restaurant, well, still does, out in the northern suburbs of Chicago. And it's like, well,
Mhm.
he's like, well, our biggest competition is this place. And it's like, well, you could just go in and go, anybody that's like that other restaurant, advertise to them.
Mhm.
It's the beauty in the people give way too much information marketing concept. And it is a short boost. Pfeiffer, that he pointing out, CSB's learning that for the smaller boostergram amounts, the notes get shorter,
Uh-huh.
which is nice. But I think he does a good job over there with his AI stuff. And it is going to be more and more prevalent no matter what anybody
Mhm.
says, which is why we end up talking about it so much, because it is crossing over into so many different aspects of life. My
Yeah.
wife works at the Village here. Now they answer stupid
I love
questions.
how you call it the Village.
The Village. Well, it's not a city. I don't know. They call it a village. When she comes home, I'm like,
Are you a number or are you a free man?
are you things at Village? I always like to say it with a Russian accent for some reason.
The word village is not Russian.
Go down to Village. But I like the way it would be said by a Russian.
That actually sounds more Hungarian. Than
Is it Hungarian?
Yes.
More like Demo Dick?
It sounds definitely more Hungarian. I don't think Demo Dick spoke a word of Hungarian.
But wasn't he Hungarian?
His ancestors were.
Well, he spoke a lot, man. He
He
had
was-
to go into
he
those
was-
places.
No, he
To do
was,
things.
did not speak Hungarian.
You don't know. Did you ask
I
him?
know. I totally. That was the one thing I asked him when I met him. Do you speak fluent Hungarian? He said, I don't know a word of it.
And then he grabbed you by the throat and threw you to the ground.
And then he reached up and grabbed me by the throat.
Right. He was a very short but deadly man.
He was, I mean, he doesn't talk about this in his book because he doesn't. But yes, it's rare to encounter somebody that's that big of a figure and has to look up at me.
You were like, I still know you can kill me with 14 different methods right now without even needing a weapon, but
Mm-hmm.
it's okay.
It's kind of the same experience, similar experience. Nothing like actually the experience that I had, but it reminded me of when I recently met one of the guys from Timcast. What's his face?
Good old what's his face. He'll be if he's listening. He's gonna love that you remembered
he's
his name.
Definitely not listening. No,
what's
it
his
was.
face?
God damn it! What is his freaking name? The guy that likes graphene. I know you don't watch that.
I do
show, so
not
you
watch Timcast.
I know.
It gives me
for all the
hives.
times I've sent you links to it, you haven't watched a single one, have you?
No.
Yeah, because it's not Luke, it's not Tim, it's Ian. So I'm, Ian in the show, which they film everybody sitting down around the table doing the podcast, obviously, but given how he's pretty skinny, I just kind of assumed he was one of these like 6 foot tall skinny dudes. And instead, he's actually more like a 5'9" really skinny dude. Like he's not as tall as I thought, and he's skinnier than I thought.
So you can't believe the YouTubes.
Well, you know how they say the television adds 20 pounds?
It's a lie.
Or in my case, 100 pounds.
Right, 150 at least.
It definitely adds 20 pounds to him, because I'd say in real life, he looks like he's all of about $120.
Nice.
Not really. That's pretty crap.
But what I said, when it comes to all of this, you field a lot of phone calls, I guess, at Village Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, when is the leaf pickup, or when is whatever? Well, you can use AI for that now, because it will understand the question and it can look up the information and spit that back out. There are anything that doesn't require some kind of physical labor. And we know that's not even fully the case, because White Castle was working on a robotic kitchen that would be able to do everything that needed to be done in the White Castle kitchen. I mean, either way, you're going to get diarrhea, but the ability to do the physical things is still what is going to separate most jobs. But for simple things, why would you need a secretary that picks up the phone and says, who would you like to speak to, when a computer can very easily ask the question? And when you say, I want to speak to Gene Nevtuliev, it can parse that and send it to the right extension.
I don't know what world you're living in, but that's literally the way that companies have been operating for at least a decade.
Right. Well, and it's getting more and more able to do things where it can answer questions that it doesn't have to be specifically programmed in.
Yeah, but if somebody's calling a company, first of all, it means they're over 60.
You're like, who's using a phone? Really? I don't know. Why would you how would you text a company? If I was looking for, I guess
generally you DM a company on Twitter.
See, this is the problem we have with
if you want to get any kind of response back, in fact, if you want a better response, you do it publicly on Twitter.
If you want right. You're absolutely right about that. And I was with I ordered some records from my buddy over at Rediscover Records out here in Elgin, Illinois, which is about an hour or so from me. And he sent them out.
Before you get into your buddy's story, this reminds me, I need more Twitter followers. So if y'all aren't following me on Twitter, but you're listening to this, go to Twitter and make sure you're following Sir Gene TX. So all one word, Sir Gene, GENE TX.
And if you want to find him even easier, just go to my Twitter account, Darren O'Neill, and you'll find Gene. I'm following him.
You are following, which I appreciate that. But when I was off Twitter for like 4 years until Musk came back. And so I had to start from scratch on my new account. And so I'm still very much a lowly, like 200 follower person.
Wow. That is pretty sad. I've got like 3,000.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you've never got kicked off of there, did you?
No, I've never been kicked off of Twitter, and I won't, because now Elon Musk has taken over, and Tucker's bringing his show there. I called it, man. We need to bring all of our media to Twitter now.
Yeah. I'm excited for that. I think that's cool. I love how Elon instantly put a message out, because he's getting super flack from all the liberals saying, we don't have a deal. This is not some special deal I made with Tucker. Tucker is just doing this on his own.
Yes, he is just using this social media service like any of you morons can.
Mm-hmm.
But the post office package dropped off on a Monday. All the other packages I got, and I had, because of Record Store Day, ordered stuff from all over the country. All of them came in within like 2 or 3 days, even though it was
I can't wait
mail.
for Spaceship Day.
Spaceship Day is great.
It's coming up here in just about a week and a half.
Now, the package that left the local Chicago area ended up taking 11 days.
Oh, Nice.
And it never moved until it was out for delivery. The only thing it ever said was taken by the local post office. It never even showed in transit. So, of course, I went to the Twitter and I shamed the USPS, and they're like, well, what's the one? They were like, well, give us the tracking number, even though that was in the link that they were responding to. It's like, don't fucking come to me and then ask me for more information when the fucking tweet that you saw had the information. And then when I gave them
that message is from an AI.
Yeah, well, it's still stupid. It's a stupid AI then. And then I gave it the tracking number, and it gave me the same information again. And I'm like, what the fuck do you think that's helping? I knew that.
It's not a human.
No, but it was, because it was like signed, unless they're lying about that, which they could be. It's like, it's not
they're
helpful.
lying about the fact that the AI has a name?
Yeah, I've never seen a message from a company that they sign it with their initials, so you know that whoever is using the account at that particular time who is sending the message. If it's their AI, then I applaud them.
Were they Twitter blued?
I don't remember.
You were just talking to some random person.
It's the USPS. That's who it was. It's USPS Help or whatever their fucking account is.
Yeah.
Don't
follow them.
It's not helpful. Here's the spoilers. The USPS Help account, not very helpful. Because it's like they can't give you any other information than you could just look up by putting the tracking number in.
Would you rather stand in line?
Well, why would I stand in line? They can't help me either.
At the post office.
But they can't help me either.
But would you rather stand in line to find that out?
No, but I wouldn't find out, because I could go stand in the line at the post office and say, here's a tracking number. Where's my package? And they're just going to be like,
well, it says here in our system, sir, that
it never
if you'd like
left
to
the
know
post
where the
office.
package is, you can log in on your own.
Yeah, they're like, didn't leave the post office up in Elgin. And I'd be like, how would you fucking call the post office in Elgin? You fucks.
No, you're seriously, you're likely to just get banned off the service.
Off which service? The post office?
Yeah, the USPS service.
Wasn't that a Seinfeld episode?
It's a private company.
That was a Seinfeld episode.
Should we stop making references to Seinfeld?
We can't. I think we're too far down the rabbit hole at this point. I don't think we can back ourselves out. But it's true. Everything in life happened on Seinfeld. So they can say it's a show about nothing.
It's a show about nothing that made a lot of people very wealthy.
Yeah. But now
like
it is problematic. Problematic.
What?
It's problematic.
How?
Don't you? This is like the latest thing with all the Gen Zers.
What, they don't like Seinfeld?
Well, they don't like Friends. They don't like Seinfeld. They don't like How I Met Your Mother. They don't like Scrubs. They're all
Scrubs.
My favorite
Scrubs was great.
Scrubs was one of the best shows ever when it came to comedies. They actually said something about the racism in Scrubs, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
What, with the Zach Galifianakis character?
Yeah, that's just Zach Braff.
Same difference.
But I'm guessing because the JD white doctor character calls
There's multiple white doctors there.
I know, but he's the main one. And then there's Turk, the black doctor, his best friend, that the little way they refer to each other, like JD referred to Turk as Brown Bear on quite a few occasions. But that's racist, I guess, even though that was not.
He's not brown. He's black.
I know that would be.
Brown would be Mexican.
Wow. Gene at Nevtuliev.com or
no, that's not a Gene thing. That's just like modern vocabulary.
I have no name.
Listen to all these people.
A surgeon, not a doctor. Surgeons are actually doctors.
Surgeons are doctors that have hands that don't shake.
Yeah, they cut people open and enjoy that.
Yeah.
But I didn't understand that saying that Scrubs was racist, but they also, when it came to Frasier, said there was a lot of late.
Everybody said Frasier was gay right when it was still on the air.
Well, they said it was a lot of latent homosexual humor.
It was totally gay. It was a gay show.
Well, that was the funny part is it's like, well, the guy that plays Niles, gay. The guy that played the father, gay. The guy that played Bulldog, gay. The only person not gay seems to be Frasier, the guy that played Frasier.
And that's questionable.
Yeah. And saying that it's like, so a bunch of gay guys that are the main characters in a show and that there's latent homosexuality. It's like, you saying this is anti-homosexual? Because I think you're preaching to the wrong choir.
the Gay Man Squire.
Yeah, maybe. It's like it was a fantastically written show with some very funny characters. And again, this is what the new generation doesn't understand. The Niles character, I don't know if there could be anybody in real life be as neurotic as he was in that show. Maybe this is possible, but it's not somebody you run into on a normal daily basis. Again, they took those little quirks and they multiplied them for comedic effect. We are not looking for reality in our entertainment. Otherwise, nobody would need television. Just
I don't know about that.
Watch
man.
your
Everybody
neighbors.
grew up watching reality TV shows.
Well, those are the reality television shows, may be the least real shows of all. And how many people don't understand that? How much scripting is being done, how the editing is worked in. Like, oh no, this is just what happened. They captured it on camera. Bullshit.
You mean Garage Wars is fake?
Yeah, believe it or not. What is
They
Garage
actually
Wars?
know what's
Though?
in the Garage Wars?
Was that you mean the one where they go by the storage units? Yes. Yeah, that's
or Storage Wars. That's
yes.
what, Storage Wars, yeah.
Yeah, but they also had like Storage Wars, Texas Storage Wars, Mexico Storage Wars, everywhere.
Yeah. I think it's every episode I've ever seen, and I really have not watched it. I've just seen like bits and pieces. But it follows the exact same script where it starts off with like, I got the tip for the biggest haul we're ever going to have. And then they end up spending too much money, and then they're always disappointed because it was total crap. But then they always find one item that is like saves the day because everybody undervalues it.
Yeah, there's always something.
It's always the same plot line.
Yeah, there's always something coming in. And it's another one of those cases where there is a format coming in with a
I think my favorite reality TV, well, of the non-adult ones, my favorite reality TV show is got to be Gold Rush.
I have not seen Gold Rush. I mean, I know what it is. This is like the Alaskan where they're out.
Yeah.
And Guzman of the Midwest just came in with 1,000 Satoshi saying, "Not all Mexicans are brown, sir, genius."
Well, they kind of are actually.
Wow.
No, it's true. That's the official designation for Mexico. That's why you have the liberal inclusionary saying of black and brown people, because they don't want to leave the Mexicans out.
Well, that's what the leftist liberals would refer to them as. But we are more enlightened and know that the world is a tapestry of colors, all beautiful.
Actually, all orange. It's scientifically speaking, if you do a color analysis on any color skin from black to white, none of them are white or black. They're all shades of orange. We're actually all a Trumpian race.
Which is why I thought it was funny.
The human race is really Trumpian.
Well, for the longest time, the little Lego characters, the little Lego figures always were yellow.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that just seemed to make sense because it included
so are
everybody.
Emojis are yellow.
That's also true.
Yeah.
But now Lego, because they have to be more inclusive, there are now white and black and brown. And it's like,
that's
why?
horrible.
You could have just had the one Lego yellow.
They've always been Chinese. Why can't they still be Chinese?
You could just incorporate everybody into one. But no, you can't have that. And that's the problem. It's like we are going so much in the wrong direction where we are separating people rather than acknowledging.
And the hilariousness about it is then after you create all these, after you take a single group, which is humans, and instead of making them yellow, you create a bunch of colors of plastic to represent them. Now you then go back and say, yes, but you can identify as being anything.
Yes. That's the problem.
I'm going to identify as yellow.
Ooh. You kind of look yellow at times, so there's that.
I try to make that always be the case using my camera controls.
I've
actually got one of my video lights that I have set up for my video streaming.
Got a yellow filter?
It's not a filter. It's actually computer controlled colored lighting.
You can look like Bart Simpson, and
I can look like Trump. Exactly.
Hey,
I've got
do the voice
of Bart Simpson. I've never been good at Bart. I'm not really a voice guy, But there's a few voices I can kind of do, but I don't think Bart's one of them.
Well, this is why you have the AI.
Yeah.
But
you could probably do an AI Bart Simpson.
There was big news out of the south side of Chicago here.
What's going on?
Well, they want to house a bunch of the migrants because they're being sent here by the folks down in Texas and elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
They want to house them in a school that's no longer being used. And the residents of that community, what's
Good
that?
Point. I said, why would you need schools in Chicago?
Right. Well, that's the truth. We don't, because we've got so many problems. But there was a little community meeting, and this black community all got together, and they were like, we have a lot of homeless people here already. Why aren't we taking care of them?
Mm-hmm.
Why are we taking this migrants? And they started chanting, build the wall.
What?
Yes, the black people.
How racist of them.
I know. They're MAGA. All of a sudden, white supremacist MAGA
I guess
people are
Jesse
black.
Smollett was right then.
Maybe.
A bunch of MAGA black people beat him up.
Possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a whole interesting way for it to go, but I don't know. This could be a little bit of the political landscape changing.
So it's working. So the shipping of the people up there is working, is what you're saying.
It is definitely piss. Yeah. Yes. If the goal, and I think it probably was, to send the migrants to the north, to areas that didn't have to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this was 3D chess enough that they knew that the minority communities that are already here and not getting served well enough by their local governments was going to be who was going to be pissed. But this is such a beautiful thing because it is the people that are in the Democrat pocket that have always voted Democrat. The black community has always voted Democrat. They're starting to see some cracks here.
Yeah, they're starting to realize that, hold up, what do you mean? We're not the minority anymore?
Right. We're sending other people in that are more minority than you. So sorry.
Yeah. Well, or at least as minority.
Yes. We can.
For sure.
We can beat those.
Incidentally, just to clarify, I don't think people from Mexico are brown color. What I'm saying is the designation on questionnaires for Mexicans is brown. It's not.
I have never seen this. I mean, I've seen like ethnicity. I've never seen. Do you consider yourself white, black, or brown?
Well, you don't go to a whole lot of liberal rallies. Apparently.
No, I do not. I would be dead. I would be dead.
You'd be like, hey, who's that really tall Klansman standing out there?
Yeah, I would stand out a little bit. I would. CSB, another 3333. Now he wants you to visit csb.lol. So there's that.
Is that a new site? That's a better domain name. I'll give him that.
It is short. He always likes to say www.csb.lol because he thinks people won't know lol is a extension, which I can understand. He's got
pornographic comics on that site. Perfect.
Right. He says it's your top tier destination for the lewdest cartoons on the web. How did you know?
Because I just went there and looked at it.
You're like, he's turning it.
I'm like, fuck doing a podcast. I'm going to go check out this website.
Exactly. It's entertaining. That's what we like.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably a market for that, I would think. I would give them advice here, though. I would say, make sure you put your little name, logo, website, whatever you want to put into the actual comic box. Because on his first comic there, he has just the comic itself with no ownership designation. Now, the second comic he's got does have a copyright little CSB in there, which is good. But the first one you see does not for May 8th.
Yeah, you got to identify.
Because people will, and by people, I mean mostly AI,
will take your work.
Just steal that shit and then post it on Reddit with no credit.
Post it on Reddit and you won't get credit.
Mm-hmm.
I like that Guzman of the Midwest is arguing with you by sending more Satoshis, saying, no, it's not, Gene. It's either Hispanic/Latino or not Hispanic/Latino. Race, color is a separate section. Maybe it is then.
Yeah, exactly. No, he literally just said in his message, they do ask Latino or not Latino, and then they ask for color. And it's a separate section, but it's not, look, if you're a Spaniard whose ancestors never married anybody from Mexico, but you moved to Mexico and you are completely white I guess you'd be putting white Latino, but I mean, there's always an exceptions to find. But generally speaking, if you look at the self-identifying characteristics of Mexicans, it is brown people, and this shows up everywhere. It's not just on forums; shows up in media, in political discussions. It is everywhere. And dude, in case you haven't figured it out, I'm making fun of it because I don't think Mexicans actually are brown, but that is the designation that somehow people decided that, I don't even know which people, somebody decided is the appropriate one for Mexicans.
Wait, because there's a lot of, we got to fit you in some box and
it
we
ain't
can't
the right
figure
color.
it out.
First of all, I think black people are mostly brown. I don't think there's a whole lot of black people that are black. I think black people are generally perceived as being brownish colored, all the way down to very light brown, right? And then I would say, if anything, I would say Mexicans I would look at as being just overly tan because, they're outdoors a lot.
This is a cultural tapestry.
And then you got Mexicans like Salma Hayek.
Oh, yeah.
Who is super hot, or used to be anyway, back in the day. But calling her Mexican is like calling me Canadian, right? She's 100%. It's either she's Persian, so I guess she'd be Iranian. Her whole family on both sides, with no actual Mexicans there, but they lived in Mexico. She was born in Mexico. She was a TV star in Mexico. She would call herself Mexican, but, is she Mexican or is she Middle Eastern? Because she looks just like she's Middle Eastern, not Mexican.
Does it really matter?
And then you have Mexicans like Louis C.K., who is a red-haired, super light-colored, light-skinned, white-looking dude who was born in Mexico.
And they're like, you can have Mexico. We don't want him. You can have him.
Grew up in Mexico until he was, while he was a kid. His dad is Mexican. His mom's American. But his dad was one of the, Spanish people that never married anybody from Mexican. So happen. There's a wide variety of people from Mexico and in Mexico of a lot of different colors, but it's all absurd because having a unified color for a country whose population is 90% imported from Europe is ridiculous. The only thing that I think a lot of Mexicans have in common is some DNA from Native American ancestors. That's it. Otherwise, you got certainly a lot of Spanish blood. You've got Portuguese blood. You've got British blood. You've got Dutch blood. You've got a lot of countries that came over to the New World. And when people eventually end up settling in what is now Mexico, or for that matter, what used to be Mexico, which is now Texas, and which used to be Mexico, which is now California, which used to be Mexico, which is now Arizona, in any of these places, it's a mix, and it's a mix with quite often very little Native American blood. And yet, there's a whole identity of Mexican versus the people that actually came over a long time ago on boats. So
the world.
I'm trying to make fun of this, dude, by just repeating what the current en vogue designation is for Mexicans, which, if you haven't heard, I'm very surprised. But the black and brown people, the brown in that black and brown people refers to Mexicans.
The more you learn right here on the Unrelenting Podcast. That's why people come in.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because this is the kind of shit that happens on YouTube's live streams where people will happily donate to argue with you.
And that's the kind of conversation we like. That's why you need to come back next week on Friday for more.
Are we back next week again?
Are we? I think we are. Are you going somewhere?
Hope we are. I don't know.
I mean, you can.
I know. We've had a few skips here and there, but hopefully we're back on track.
Join us and keep it on. And really, if you want to talk to us during the show, boostergrams are the way to do it.
And if you can figure out how to do boostergrams, then feel free to talk.
See, Guzman just said I was right. Why do we miss those boosts on the show? He says, Mexican, Hispanic is not a race to determine skin color. It's a culture, nationality. I have cousins whiter than most of my white friends. You are correct that it would be white and Latino for some people, and I agree with you that M5M wrongly lumps anyone who isn't white into brown. However, at the end of the day, Darren is right. None of it matters. Everyone is human. And
I'm the one who said that, not Darren.
No, I did. I was great. Do not argue here.
Fuck you. I'm the one who said that. God damn it.
I think you're misunderstanding.
It's literally making fun of the fact that they're creating categories. Remember, the start of this whole conversation that led up to Mexico was that we used to have yellow emojis, and then, Chinese, obviously.
And Lego people.
And then that all of a sudden had to get split up into a bunch of different colors because God forbid somebody has an emoji that's the wrong color. But yet you can arbitrarily just choose to have a different color emoji from your actual skin if you feel that better represents you. It's all absurd. The whole damn thing's absurd.